So mounting in a nutshell here. I think the best way when I say mounting, and you can put it in the chat and let me know, but when I usually say mounting to people, mounting AAC, mounting AT, I get a very diverse response. So some people hate mounting, and you might be like, oh, I just had lunch. Let's not talk about that. Or maybe it's like, oh, I love mounting. It's so much fun. Or maybe it's like, a little lukewarm, right? But wherever you are on how you feel about mounting, usually it's because you've had an experience or you have no experience. So what we do at CJT is not just design and provide mounting systems, but really we understand after 34 years, it's about the support. It's about having the conversations and helping you figure out what's needed. And like Sue said, it's not always a CJT mount. It might be another mount, and that's okay, but whatever's best for the person that meets their needs. Now, real quick, before I get into talking about mounting systems and the different types of mounts that we have, I think it's really important for you to understand where we have come from as a company and our philosophy. And I'd like to share a story with you that is really, it shows it's why we do it. And it's in these stories and in meeting these, meeting people and families that really just inspire us to keep designing and keep figuring out better ways to make products that really do meet the needs. So I'll just take a second and then we'll move on from there. But we had a young lady that we worked with a few years back, and she had a device that she'd had for probably a year or two, but she really wasn't doing a whole lot with it. And not that she didn't want to, it just wasn't happening. And a big part of that was that she didn't have access to her device all the time, especially because of her condition. She had to be in bed quite a lot, and they weren't able to get the traditional floor stand into her room. It was very small. So we met with her and her family, and we kind of figured out what was needed. They did have a conveyed rodeo stroller, and we can mount to that. That wasn't an issue, but she wasn't really in the stroller that often. She was in bed most of the time. So we figured out that if we took the ET roller, which is our rolling stand, which we'll talk about more later, it's a 20-inch base, and the ET roller can actually support multiple devices. So we put her Tobii i15 and her iPad using a TPO, and we set it up for her in the room. And she would her mom would let me know, like I would keep in contact. Her mom would let me know, oh yeah, she's just, she's playing with it, she's using it and stuff, and she's getting to know it. So her mom called me one day and she said, oh my gosh, and she's in tears. Now, hopefully I won't start crying, because every time I think about this, it makes my heart so happy. But every day her room was right next to the door, and her dad would walk in every day. And he would say, hi, honey, how was your day? Or how's my sweet girl? And sometimes she would answer and sometimes not. One day, though, her daddy walked in, and before he could say one word, she said, Daddy, how was your day? And that is why we do what we do. It's in those moments that we created access. We said, hey, this is what she can do. She has a voice now. So you know what she does now? We put her mount on the conveyed stroller. Her mom sent a picture. They went out to Dana Point Harbor, and they have her speech path programmed on her device, right? So when they go down to the harbor, guess what's one of her favorite things to do with all those nice looking sailor boys down there? Okay. She now can banter back and forth with her brothers and say, I don't like this team, even though the whole family likes this sports team. I like this one. It's amazing what has opened up for her. And we see this. When you have access to a device, When you provide that opportunity for a person to use the device and not fatigue out after 15 minutes, you change the world. Mounting doesn't have to be hard, okay? Figuring out the mount that you need doesn't have to be hard. There's 6 simple steps that you can do. On the screen, you'll see those 6 steps to simplifying the process. First, you got to know your why. Then, once you know your why, then you start making observations. You know, half the battle of trying to figure out the mount is figuring out, watching what people do, watching how is it being used throughout the day? One of my favorite questions is asking the support group around the person, tell me about your day. What do you guys do? How do you access your student? What do you guys do throughout the day? Do you have to, does she have to go up to a table? Does she have to, maybe he's going outside. Maybe he's in a walker. Maybe he loves to walk. Then do we really put it on the chair, or do we put it on his walker? It's doable. So by observing and asking questions, you start to develop a good sense for what mounting system would really work. In some cases, if you see this, or right, when you're talking about mounts, then maybe introducing the family to a rolling stand first and then a wheelchair mount is better. Because then a rolling stand, the ET roller, you don't need any tools. It can adjust up and down and there's no effort. But a wheelchair mount might be a little more intimidating. So figuring out the best mounting solutions, it takes all those things into an account. And then another part of the process is learning terminology, right? And there's simple ways to do that, because that way we're all on the same page and we're talking apples to apples. It's so much easier. And we do that in conversation. And then lastly, we tell people to keep it simple, right? We don't have to, sometimes we'll go into that rabbit hole and we make it really complicated, and it doesn't have to be. So we help you keep it simple. And lastly, always reach out for help. There is no stupid question, right? If you are working on something and maybe we've been working together for a while and you're like, oh, I don't know, she's going to laugh at me. I promise you, I will not laugh at you. I will laugh with you. No. All right. So that's our philosophy. It's not about just creating mounting systems that can, okay, look, there's 3 things that a mount has to do. Okay, when you're working with mounting systems, I don't care what mounting systems, when you're working with mounts, basically, can it place it on the chair or equipment safely? Is there a good safe spot for it? It's not the question of, can I mount to this? It's, should I mount to this? Can I put it onto the chair and everything is still stable? Everything is still good. Okay, that's question 1. Question 2, can a mounting system place the device where the person needs it? Not where the environment says, not where it looks good, but where the person needs it based on their needs. And 3, once you have that position, can that mount keep it in position? Because I'll guarantee you, and I don't care if you're talking about switches or devices or any other type of AT, tablets, it doesn't matter. If you can't keep the device in the position the person needs, you are going to cause frustration. And I would think about it this way. You have a favorite spot in your car that you like to drive in, right? You have a position with your seat. Some have it set in the automatic settings, some it's manual, and this is worse if it's manual. And someone gets in and moves your position. How do you feel? When you can't count on that position, they get in every time, and every single time it's moved. It's hard, it's frustrating. So you need to make sure that the mount can answer those needs. Now, we can talk more about the mounts and if you have specific questions in the breakout room, but I think we're coming up to our time here.
We are. Yeah.
So I hope if you have any questions, I hope I've inspired you to want to learn more about mounting, to reach out and get help, and to understand that mounting, we can simplify it and we can walk you through the process.
Thank you,
Thank
Carrie.
you.